Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of the Hilo Stitch podcast. I'm your host Kristen of Media Peruana Designs, and I am here to talk to you about what else? Knitting. I will also be talking about knitting pattern design, events, and goings-on within the fiber arts community. And there's always a good chance that at some point in the episode I'm going to mention Diego Luna, and I am definitely going to mention him this time. So thank you so much for joining me. A special thank you for my Patreon patrons whose support helps me to bring this podcast to life. And I want to offer a special welcome to any new viewers who are checking out the podcast for the first time. So in case you don't know me, my name is Kristen Janik. I design patterns under the name Media Peruana Designs. I live in Maryland, in the Washington, D.C. suburbs of Maryland with my husband, a very tall man from Peru, and my 2 very mischievous little boys. I am also interested in Orioles baseball, yoga, wine, but most of all knitting, so let's go ahead and get started. I am not sure how this happened exactly, but somehow it is August. It is not only August, but it is more than halfway through August. Today is the 18th of August, and I have no idea where the time has gone this summer. Earlier this month, we took our annual vacation to the beach. I use the term vacation loosely, of course, because I have 2 young children, ages 5 and 6, and so it's not really much of a vacation. It's more just doing my regular job in a nicer location, but we certainly did have fun. The kids were more amenable to the beach this year. They still were not huge fans of the sand, but they were both playing more in the surf. They weren't just sitting on the blanket whining. Of course, they were definitely still more interested in the pool. And I think they spent as much time as they could in the pool, but when we were on the beach, they were much better behaved this year, so that was very nice. In fact, the littlest one, Ollie, we could barely keep him out of the water. He wouldn't go far in, so he wasn't really in any danger, but he was right at the surf the whole time. And Ollie is very fair-skinned, so keeping him fully sunscreened is a challenge. You really have to reapply it quite a bit if he's going to be standing at the surf, for 2 straight hours. So that was a little bit of a challenge. He got a little bit of a sunburn, mostly on the back of his neck the first day because he spent the whole time standing in the surf watching the waves crash over his toes. But he was a very happy little boy. We had great weather this year. In the past, we've had either very stormy weather or very windy weather where we couldn't really be on the beach. And we didn't have any problems this year. It was sunny and in the low to mid 80s almost the entire week. The only day we got rain was actually the day that we decided to skip the beach and go to one of the big shopping centers down in the Outer Banks to do some shopping. That was a little bit of a bummer because they have go-karts there for the kids, and they weren't open because of the rain. But otherwise, we were very lucky to have such good weather the whole time. But of course, now the beach vacation is over. We're back home. It's still hot. And I'm pretty much done with summer. Kids have about 2 more weeks of summer vacation. Well, JJ does, and he'll go back to school the day after Labor Day. And then Ollie, pre-K usually starts about a week later. I haven't even gotten any official notice yet, but for the past several years that has been the case. So 2 weeks left of summer vacation for JJ, maybe 3 for Ollie. And I am just astounded that the summer has gone so quickly. I am pretty much done with the heat and humidity, but I'm starting to get some nice vegetables from my garden, which is good. Mostly cucumbers. All of my squash failed this year. I didn't get a single zucchini, no butternut squash, no spaghetti squash. most of my plants had very few female flowers, and the ones that were there just seemed to rot off the vine. I don't know what the deal is. Tomatoes, I've had a handful so far. There's some more growing, but certainly not a bumper crop of them. That's Nelly. Fair number of jalapenos as well. A handful of green beans. This was the first year I tried to grow green beans, and something kept digging them up, the seeds when I planted them, or I guess the beans when I planted them. So I think I had to go through 3 plantings before I got anything to grow. I ended up with, I think, maybe 3 or 4 green bean plants. So I've had a handful of green beans. Unfortunately, not really enough to kind of do anything with. Because none of them, I get 2 here, 3 there, and not enough to make any kind of meal out of. Although I enjoy just kind of eating them off the vine, so that's all right. And since my squash did so poorly, I decided to go ahead and try to do a fall planting. So a couple days ago, I planted lettuce and spinach, and then yesterday I planted snap peas, hopefully for a fall run of snap peas. So I am enjoying so much fresh local produce, tomatoes that taste like tomatoes. It's almost time for fried green tomatoes. Usually make them once a year because I could eat my weight in them. I usually wait until September so the weather's a little cooler since I've got to fry them. But fried green tomato time is coming. But other than that, we've gotten tons of at least local produce, even if it's not from our own garden. I've had plenty of cucumbers, so I have made refrigerator pickles twice, and I just pulled a whole bunch more. So I'm actually going to can some bread and butter pickles. So that'll be nice. I'm not really sure what to do with all the jalapenos I have. I'm not sure. I don't think it's quite enough to preserve them, but we shall see. It's been nice to have them fresh when we want to make guacamole. We went raspberry picking last week. Both JJ and I got stung by a bee. Presumably not the same bee, but you never know. And I felt really bad because raspberry bushes are thorny. So when he came and he said, he got stung, I said, oh no, you probably just, pricked your finger on one of the thorns. It'll be okay. And then he was like, oh, it's, starting to hurt worse and worse. He wasn't crying, but he was definitely upset. And I was like, you'll be fine. You'll just give it a minute and it'll stop hurting. So of course at that point he stopped picking raspberries, and then I was picking, and there were a lot of bees around, but they seemed to be mostly whatever the bees are that don't have stingers, bumblebees maybe. So it didn't seem likely that he got stung, but then I got stung as well, and it hurt quite a lot. And just like he said, it did, it hurt at first and then it got worse. And so then as soon as that happened, I realized that he really had been stung by a bee, and I had been a very uncaring mother. My poor JJ. But we at least got lots of very nice raspberries. So the kids have been eating raspberries. I made jam. Yesterday, I got together with my family because it would have been my mom's birthday, and I made a raspberry crisp. So really all of the fresh vegetables and fresh fruits have been wonderful, and I know I will miss them when winter gets here. So I'm trying to enjoy them now, but other than that, I'm really just sick of being sweaty. It's so hot and humid out. Earlier in the summer, we got a heat wave where it was, with the real field heat index was 110, 112. Since then, it's been kind of more normal, just in the 90s, but this week coming up, it's going to be, again, very, very hot, and I am over it. I'm definitely ready for fall, but we have been enjoying the summer as much as we can. Like I said, we've got a couple more weeks until JJ goes back, so I've been trying to plan out some things this week. I think since it's going to be so hot, we are going to go down to the Natural History Museum in DC. They just reopened the Hall of Dinosaurs, so I think we'll see that. The kids have been dying to ride the subway. I don't know why. As someone who spent many years riding the subway for work, there's certainly nothing remarkable about it. but it's not too terrible when you're riding, you know, off peak hours. So they'll enjoy that, and I won't have to deal with parking in DC. So I guess it's a win. So we'll do that this week. We'll probably go at some point to see the butterfly exhibit at our local conservatory. Has butterflies in the summer. And then usually the week right before school, I take them down again to DC to go to the National Zoo. And then that's gonna be it. Almost all the summer fun is coming to an end. I've got my dad's birthday next week, which will be the last time that we eat crabs for the summer. And last time we had crabs, they were not that good. So I'm hoping we have better luck this time. Last time we got them for Father's Day, and of course everybody's getting crabs for Father's Day, and we were scrambling to find some place that had them, and then the ones we got were not great. But since it's my dad's birthday, which is not a national holiday, hopefully we'll have better luck this time. Last time for crabs. I haven't been to a baseball game yet, but hopefully we have plans, tentative plans to go to one the last week of August, and then summer is going to be wrapped up, and it is going to be my favorite season, fall, which I am very much looking forward to. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you sick of summer? Are you ready for fall? Or do you maybe live somewhere that it's actually winter and you're ready for that to be over? Go ahead and share in the comments. I'd love to hear back from you. All right, I have a little stash flash to share for this episode because we just wrapped up the most recent round of Fibre Share. So I got some really beautiful yarn from my spoiler, whose name is Jen. And she is a pastry artist who lives somewhere around Boston. So I was sort of cruising her Instagram a lot, looking at all of her pictures of cakes and pastries and such that all look delicious. But, you know, she does a good job with yarn as well. So I got some really nice yarns that I want to show off. So the first one is this, losing my, okay, yeah, here we go. Okay, the first one is this sock, Malabrigo sock, and this colorway is Indiecita. I love this. It has blues, greens, maybe some pale purples in there, a little bit of yellow. This is just kind of a nice beachy sea glass kind of color, and this is lovely. When I first started knitting, I definitely bought a lot of Malabrigo. More recently, I guess I have been more focused on indie dyers, but then when I saw this in the box, it was such a good reminder of how awesome Malabrigo is. So who knows what this will be, maybe a shawl, maybe some socks, but it's lovely. And then this one, I had seen this yarn at TNNA a couple of years ago and had kind of been interested in trying it. This is Croft from West Yorkshire Spinners, but as you might imagine, West Yorkshire Spinners is located in the UK, so they're not local, and I haven't seen anybody nearby carrying this. So I was really surprised and excited to see it in my box. So you can see this is kind of a tweedy, speckly yarn, and it's kind of a, see, it's got a little bit of fuzz here. See if we can get it to focus. Don't look at my face, look at the yarn. Come on, focus on the yarn. Nope, doesn't want to. It has a little bit of a fuzz to it. So this is kind of a little bit of a rustic yarn. Let's see, it says 100% Shetland Island wool. So that's probably where that rustic toothy feel comes from. Let's see, this colorway seems to be called Stony Breck. And this is 182 yards for, let's see, 100 gram hank. So that's more or less a worsted weight, maybe an Aran weight. I have no idea what this will be, but it'll be nice for a small project. Maybe a hat would be a good pairing for this, but I was just very excited to see this in my Fibre Share package. And then the last one is this little sock kit, and this is from a company I had not heard of before. It's called Harbor Fibers. Let's see, And this is because this is a new company. It says established 2018. So they are located in Maine. This little kit colorway, I guess, is called Aster. So it's got a little full sock skein, wow, and then a little mini to go with it. And it is superwash and nylon. So this is an adorable little kit, speckly, beautiful colors. Again, I don't know what this will be, so for now it's just feeding the stash. But I love these colors, and we shall see. So I really haven't been buying much yarn recently, and anything I have been buying is mostly for designing. So it's not that I need any more yarn, really, because I do have plenty in my stash, but it's always nice to get new yarn. I love doing Fibre Share. I wish I was able to sort of chat more and be a little bit more participatory in it. Unfortunately, there just don't seem to be enough hours in the day, so I never get to chat with people as much as I would like. But it's just so nice to get a box full of goodies and be surprised. And then the other thing that is not yarn, but I'm gonna show off anyway, that Jen put in my package are these Orioles pens. How cute is that? So she said, I guess her husband is a Red Sox fan, and he nearly had a heart attack when he saw they were bringing these into the house, which is exactly how I would feel if somebody bought Yankee stuff into my house. These are just so adorable, little Orioles pens. I love them, and it's just so thoughtful. So another amazing round of Fibre Share has come and gone. I love my package from Jen. She's so sweet. And I'm definitely looking forward to the next round of Fibre Share, which I believe I saw is going to have signups in mid-October-ish, as I recall. So definitely looking forward to that. If you have not done Fibre Share before, I would definitely recommend it. I really haven't had any bad experiences, and it's just so nice to get a surprise box in the mail full of yarny goodness. So definitely check that out. For on and off the needles this month, as usual, I have nothing off the needles. Most recent thing I got off the needles was Diego. So I do have plenty of things on the needles that are all designs. We'll get to that in a different segment, but I do have something on the needles, a new project. In the last episode, I had said that I was going to be taking a selfish project to the beach, which I try to do every year, something small that I could conceivably finish while we were at the beach, although that doesn't usually seem to happen. So I did bring a selfish project, and I did get it started at the beach. So this is the progress I've made so far on my Ripple bralette. Ripple bralette is a pattern by Jessie Mae Martinson. I'm gonna check that before I tell you that. Let's just double check. Yes, Jessie Mae Martinson. And so you have perhaps seen her on Instagram, where her handle is Jessie Mae. And she has been releasing all kinds of amazing patterns. She's now got a new bralette design and testing that I'm already looking forward to. But this is how far I've gotten on the Ripple bralette. I'm using some Western Sky Knits merino cashmere nylon in the Monarch colorway. So you can see this starts down here with just a twisted rib, and then up here it's a 3x3 rib. I'm still working on just the bottom part of it, so now I'm at the part where I'm going to just knit it as long as I want it to be up into where the, I guess, bra cups would be. Still kind of deciding exactly how long I want it to be. If maybe I want it to be a little longer than a bralette. I haven't decided. I have plenty of yarn, but I am very happy with how it's looking so far. I really love this this colorway. It's so fallish. The pattern is very clear and well written. No problems with that. I've been loving looking at all of the ripple bralettes on Instagram. And Jessie Mae does a wonderful job of sharing photos of people's ripple bralettes so you can see, you know, what it looks like on all shapes and sizes and colors. So again, of course, I did not finish this at the beach, but I am making steady progress on this, and hopefully we'll have it finished by the next episode. So I do have this on the needles. I don't have anything off the needles. I did finally bind off the sleeve on my weekender. So I only have one sleeve left to go. Again, it's so hot here. I'm certainly not going to be wearing that sweater for at least 2 months, I would guess. And I would consider myself lucky if I were wearing it in 2 months, just because this fall never seems to arrive here as early as it did when I was a kid. So I'm not really in a rush to finish that. Hopefully it will at least be done in time for fall weather. I can't imagine, I don't want to jinx myself. I can't imagine it's going to take me that long to knit one sleeve in stockinette, but you never know. But I'm not in a super big rush, but I am hoping that I will be finishing off my bralette before the next episode so that I can show it off to you guys. That is all I have for on and off the needles this month. All right, I do have a pattern drop for you this month, and as opposed to a lot of my recent pattern drops, I actually have the sample here. So this is the Diego cardigan. This has actually been my most successful pattern launch ever. So if you have already bought the pattern, thank you so much. But if not, I'm just gonna go ahead and show it off a little bit. All right, so Diego is a saddle shoulder cardigan. So you start working it from these saddles. After you knit both saddles, you then pick up along, it's a little crooked, isn't it? There we go. You pick up along this edge, you cast on here, and then you pick up along this edge and you work the back all the way down with the, of course, armhole shaping. This part is optional. You could just continue the same cables all the way down. So then after you finish the back, you come back to the front and work each front separately. So you pick up here and here, and then you work down again with armhole shaping. So on the front, I only have the cables on the yoke, except for this one right along the button band, which runs all the way down to the bottom. And then you go ahead and seam. Now the reason I've done this with seams is because the gauge on the back is tighter than the gauge on the front. So you need to use 2 different needle sizes in order to make them a little bit closer. They're still not identical. So on the back, the gauge is 5.5 stitches to the inch, and on the stockinette on the front, it's 5 stitches to the inch. So there's a few decreases right here under the cabling to get the front to be the right width. But it simply was not. This is a worsted weight yarn, and you can see this is pretty tightly knit, and this is 5 stitches to the inch on a US 6. So I was not going to go down another needle size and make that even tighter. So it made more sense to just work them separately and seam them. So seaming here, and then these are contiguous set-in sleeves. So you're going to pick up all the way around the armhole. You leave these stitches live from the saddle, and so you just put them on the needle, and then you work down in the round to the cuff. This is my first time designing and even knitting the contiguous set-in sleeve. This is actually much easier than I thought. You pick up all around here at a certain rate, and then you just work back and forth in short rows. You don't even have to pick up the wraps on the short rows because they're sort of hidden in this edge, so it's not necessary. And then once you get to the armhole, join in the round and work down to the sleeve. And then you can see that I've kept these cables that go all the way down to the cuff. And I used a tubular bind off on the cuff. That is optional, but I really like the way that it looks on the cuffs particularly. And then after all that's done, you just pick up the button band. It's a little bit wider than maybe, most sweaters are maybe an inch. It's about 1.5 inches button band and collar. And then you're done. All right, so that is a sort of quick overview of Diego, my latest pattern. And to go along with the Diego pattern launch, I wanted to let you know that there are 2 new video tutorials up on YouTube that will come in handy for Diego, but of course for lots of other knitting patterns as well. So one is a tutorial on cabling without a cable needle. As you saw, Diego is almost all cables. And if you were to stop and pick up a cable needle to make every single cross, that would really take quite a bit of time. In my experience, all that fiddling with a cable needle really slows you down. So a few years ago, I learned how to cable without using a cable needle, and I really have not looked back since. So I'm just going to quickly show you my technique for cabling without a cable needle. And then the other tutorial is on the tubular bind off, which, as I mentioned, I used on the cuffs for Diego. It's definitely optional, but it really, in my opinion, gives the cuffs especially a nice, neat finish. I did not use it on the ribbing at the bottom of the hem or on the button bands. I don't find it as necessary there. But for the cuffs, I think it gives it a kind of a more, I don't want to say professional, but maybe, more of a store-bought sweater look where the edges of the cuffs and things like that just look a little tidier. They almost look as if they're folded under and sewn, which is a look that I like. If you are not particularly interested in it, then you just do, your regular bind off. But if you're looking for some guidance on the tubular bind off, I did record a tutorial for it. The tubular bind off is a little bit more involved than your regular bind off, so it takes just a little bit of setup work. But once you get the hang of it, it is pretty simple. And if you are an experienced sock knitter, then you are no doubt very familiar with Kitchener stitch, which is actually the major technique used for the tubular bind off. So you can find both of those tutorials on the Media Padawana Designs YouTube channel, and I will of course link to them in the show notes. So to go with the launch of the Diego cardigan pattern, I decided that I was going to put together a little montage of some outfit and styling ideas for the cardigan. Full disclosure, most of the time I am wearing jeans and a camisole under a sweater. So I don't want to give you the impression that I am always stepping out in, the latest fashions with my hand knit sweaters. No, usually I'm just wearing jeans and a t-shirt underneath the sweater. But I am trying, not so much in the summer because I can hardly wear any knits, but I am trying, at least coming up for the fall, to maybe be a little bit more adventurous. And to wear my knits more often instead of just, around the house. But sometimes that can require a little bit of creativity to figure out what really goes with what. So I took a little bit of time and I put together 3 outfits to show off to go with the Diego cardigan that are not jeans and a t-shirt. And I hope this will give you some inspiration for styling your own Diego cardigan or any other cardigan that you may have in your wardrobe. Okay, this is outfit 1 I have put together for showcasing the Diego cardigan. This is one of my summer jumpsuits that I love so much. And so this is a good way to transition it into fall. And I just got this jumpsuit at Target. So I've just put the Diego cardigan on top and then paired it with some super cute boots. I really love this outfit. So I expect I'm going to be wearing this a lot this fall. If you see me at Rhinebeck, this is almost certainly what I will be wearing, possibly with some different boots. I really like it with just the top of the cardigan buttoned, but that's obviously, you know, your mileage may vary. I just think it's a good combination. You have sort of the very traditionally feminine flowers, and then you have sort of the contrast of the cables and the more rustic wool in the cardigan itself. And again, this is a summer jumpsuit, so it's very light. It has short sleeves as well, so it's not like a super heavy layer underneath. So this, I think, is probably going to be my go-to outfit for Diego in the fall. Okay, outfit number 2 that I have put together for Diego. If you're more of a dress person, I think this is a really cute look. This is just a little jumper kind of dress, jumper style dress that I happen to own, that makes a perfect underlayer because they're both kind of close fitting. I wouldn't want to put a dress under here that was like super flowy, because the cardigan is more close fitting. I think that would look a little bulky. So this is sort of a close fitting jumper with a closer fitting skirt, so it makes a nice neat and straight line and a good underlayer for Diego. And then of course I have paired it with cute boots, which are my thing for the fall. You can see that my jumper actually has some black, they're flowers, printed on it, so I just picked the black boots. You might want boots that are a little closer in color to whatever your cardigan is, possibly. So maybe a shade of brown for you. So if you're more of a dress person, I think this is a cute look for the fall. Works nicely over this little jumper dress or probably any kind of sort of sheath style closer fitting dress. Would be a good pair for this cardigan, I think. And then just some cute little booties. Okay, here's the last bit of my wardrobe I'm going to show off. For pairing with Diego, especially for the fall, I love corduroy. It is one of my favorites. So I've paired up Diego cardigan, some brown corduroy pants, and then underneath I have polka dot. And in this case, I am wearing the cardigan buttoned in the middle, so you see polka dot at the top and polka dot at the bottom. And then since my polka dot shirt is black and white, I got the same black booties. So your mileage may vary for shoe color. I'm a boot and booty person, so all of my outfits are showing off booties this time. So again, you've got sort of the different textures paired up with a relatively understated print underneath. It's kind of just peeking out a little bit. Again, the shirt I have underneath is a sleeveless shirt, so it's not too heavy of a layer. I love the combination of both the patterning and the texture with the corduroy and the cables. So I think this is another cute outfit I will be wearing a lot this fall with my Diego cardigan. So there you go, 3 styling ideas for the Diego cardigan that aren't just jeans and a t-shirt. Okay, for Adelante this month, I do have some projects that are going to be coming up this fall, some new designs. So I'm just going to show off a couple. So the first one is a hat. This is going to be part of the Fibre Seeds Swifties program. So I guess I'm not sure if it's every month, but they, Fibre Seed partners with an indie designer to bring to life a new pattern using some of their yarn. So this one, I think all of them are sort of smaller projects, cowls and hats and things. So this one is a hat that uses 2 skeins of their Sprout DK. And as usual, this uses one of my favorite techniques, slip stitch, to create a sort of fake color work pattern here. So I'm carrying one yarn over the other. In this case, I'm carrying the yellow yarn, the mustard, over the variegated yarn, which is called Grandpa's Sink. And this is, as with all the other slipped stitch patterns that I've done, this is a nice alternative to color work if you're new to knitting, because you're only ever working with one strand of yarn at a time. This pattern is going to be published in mid-September. Not sure the exact date, I can't remember. It will definitely be coming out in September. And this is just a quick project. You know, I made this much progress on it in just a couple of days, knitting just, you know, a few minutes here, a few minutes there. So this is going to be a quick project for you. It's not going to be quite as heavy as color work, because since you're only using one strand of yarn at a time, you're not getting the floats behind. You're not carrying the yarn behind and getting those floats. So you can see the inside just looks like reverse stockinette. So you don't have those extra floats, which make it extra warm, which in my experience is a lot of times too much for hats, especially in the fall, at least for me, maybe just because I have a lot of hair. So super heavy hats for me, even when it's very cold out, just feel like too much. So this will be sort of a lighter layer, but still get that multicolored look. And I have done the brim in fisherman's rib, which is so squishy, so nice and reversible. But also with the fisherman's rib, it doesn't cinch up as much as a regular rib, so the brim is actually going to be a little bit looser than a sort of traditional ribbed brim. And you could very easily substitute a regular brim on your hat, but I just love the look of this squishy fisherman's rib, especially with this yarn, which just has some amazing stitch definition. So that is in the pipeline for September. By the time you're watching this, test knitting might actually be open for this. I'm kind of hoping to finish this today. We shall see. If you are interested in test knitting, you can find more information about that at mediaperuana.com/test knitting. You can sign up to be notified of tests when they open. So you can look forward to this one in probably about a month, more or less. And then the other project that I have coming up is actually a pattern re-release. I'm going to be re-releasing this capelet pattern. This was originally published in I Like Knitting's October 2018 issue. And I'm going to be re-releasing this with 5 sizes. So the original, I actually don't remember if it had just one size. It may have had 2 sizes, but this is going to have 5 sizes now. 2 sort of teenager sizes, and then 3 adult sizes. So this is just a little capelet. It's not, it's not a full-sized cape at all. The sort of showpiece is this little pleat in the front, which covers up some lace. And then the back also has the lace. It's just like a simple eyelet pattern, nothing fancy. Garter stitch on the sides, which kind of just gives it a little bit of a grip. And this is knit in a sort of a more rustic yarn. Harrisville Designs Flywheel, which is a sport weight. I believe. I will double check and I will put all of that in the show notes. So you could use a fingering or sport weight for this. So what I really wanted to show you with this is that Heather and Kathy up at the Knot House in Frederick had contacted me about maybe testing the pattern for re-release. And obviously I said yes. And I was up there maybe a week and a half ago, just picking up some stuff for my Fibre Share partner. And the capelet was out and on display, so it was already done. And I'll pop a quick picture in here. And so I believe Kathy is the one that did the knitting on this. And she did that with 2 of Heather's yarns held double. So it was the, I want to say, diamond sock held double with a mohair yarn. And so it's a little hard to tell from the picture. It was so soft. And it had all this like beautiful halo. It looked a little bit furry. So it's absolutely beautiful. So thank you so much, ladies, for testing the pattern and using those beautiful yarns. It was so nice to see the project in sort of a different yarn, because this yarn is sort of very rustic, which has just a very different feel. But I really think that, based on that shop sample, this is going to look great in, many different kinds of yarns. And this is going to be re-released also sometime in mid-September. I have a couple more people who are testing it. I keep saying this because it doesn't currently have a name. The pattern was originally released with some unpronounceable name that I did not give it, that the magazine gave it. Apparently it's some kind of breed of pumpkin. I don't know. It's utterly unpronounceable and not something I would really ever name my patterns. So I am sort of still pondering what I want the name to be when I re-release it. So it will be released next month. I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be called, but you guys can all look forward to that, maybe, if you like capelets and pleats, which are maybe a little intimidating, but are actually very fun to work and probably easier than what you're imagining. So those are 2 patterns that I'm going to have coming out in September: the capelet re-release and the hat as part of the Fiber Seed Swifties program. Thank you all so much for joining me for episode 8 of the Hilo and Stitch podcast. You can find show notes with links to everything that I have talked about over at mediaperuana.com/Hilo and Stitch. Again, a special thank you to my Patreon patrons for their support and helping to bring this podcast to life. If you would like to support Media Peruana Designs and the Hilo and Stitch podcast and get bonus episodes of the podcast and free patterns and other perks, you can find all of that information at patreon.com/Media Peruana. If you are looking for me on social media, you can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, and Facebook as Media Peruana. And you can find past and future episodes of the Hilo and Stitch podcast on YouTube. If you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe, like, comment, share, all that good stuff so other people can find the podcast. You can also find past and future episodes on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or your favorite podcatcher. Thank you again for joining me, and I will see you next time.